Audio 9.1.
I've just finished reading a book by Ken Robinson about how schools are killing off children's creativity. It really made me think. All the stress about exams and grades could be stifling children's creativity. In some ways, it's really sad. According to him, right now, in a classroom somewhere in the world, a child will be losing their excitement about new things and enthusiasm for learning. I think it's true that children won't learn what they aren't interested in.
Oh, you're right there.
Yes, but it wasn't just that. He was saying that this is actually causing a major problem for companies right now. One that experts are quite concerned about.
What do you mean?
Well, he said that in tomorrow's fast-moving world, a company's success will depend on its ability to come up with innovative solutions. But it seems there's a real problem with the way graduates have been taught to think. They are steered towards more practical and technical degrees, but they aren't encouraged to experiment with ideas and make mistakes.
I suppose that's true enough. If schools and universities will focus so much on facts and technology, it's no surprise that many companies can't find graduates who can produce imaginative solutions. But I think we have to remember that students do have to learn some facts. I mean, they can't always just be creative all the time. That might get a bit tedious too. Anyway, he's not the only one with some interesting ideas on education. I was going to tell you about that talk I saw by Sugata Mitra.
Oh, I've heard of him. But aren't his ideas a bit controversial?
Well, yes, a lot of people don't agree with him, but he has done some amazing things.
Yes, I read about the hole-in-the-wall experiment. It sounded intriguing, but I wasn't really convinced it would work.
Well, Mitra says if you give a child a computer, it won't be long before he or she starts to use it. That's exactly what he tried out in the hole-in-the-wall experiment.
And those kids didn't know how to use a computer before, right?
Not only that, they didn't know English either. But Mitra says that, left alone, children will come up with a solution to any problem. You know, find out how to do it or learn other things they need on the way.
Really? I find that a bit hard to believe. Did it work?
Well, it seemed to, for a while anyway. More recently, he started leaving children problems to solve. You know, just asking a question and letting them research it on their own, without a teacher around at all. And it's amazing what they come up with. To answer a question, the children will have had to work out what they need to do and then visit lots of different websites to find the answers.
And they just do it on their own, right? No teacher? So how do they judge which sites are worth reading and which are just rubbish? Wouldn't they need some help from someone with that?
I can see that is a problem. Something else he told us about was a thing called the Granny Cloud.
Ah, I read about that too. The idea behind that was to encourage the kids, wasn't it?
Yes. He claims that just by someone saying something like, your project sounds amazing, will you tell me about it, that's enough to keep the kids enthusiastic. I mean, we all know it's a good idea to involve as many people in the community as possible. Then the children feel what they're doing is valued.
You can't disagree with that. I'm just not convinced I could leave my class alone with a load of computers and expect them to come up with any answers.
Audio 9.2. 1.
Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the world, a child will be losing their excitement about new things and enthusiasm for learning.
2.
Children won't learn what they aren't interested in.
3.
In tomorrow's fast-moving world, a company's success will depend on its ability to come up with innovative solutions.
4.
If schools and universities will focus so much on facts and technology, it's no surprise that many companies can't find graduates who can produce imaginative solutions.
5.
Left alone, children will come up with a solution to any problem.
6.
To answer a question, The children will have had to work out what they need to do.
7.
Just by someone saying something like, "Your project sounds amazing, will you tell me about it?" that's enough to keep the kids enthusiastic.
Audio 9.3.
He will keep arriving late. She would always interrupt.
Audio 9.4. 1.
He will always call just as we're sitting down to dinner.
2.
She would say that, wouldn't she?
3.
If you will stay up late, it's not surprising you're tired.
4.
He was a nice guy, but he would always have to have the last word.
Audio 9.5. 1.
I'm sure it won't be long before we see classrooms without teachers.
Really? I'll believe it when I see it.
2.
You always say you're going to study harder, but it never happens.
This time's different, you'll see.
3.
Let me pay for the coffees at least.
I won't hear of it. You're our guest.
4.
Can you come on Friday?
I need to check with my wife. I'll let you know.
5.
That'll be Jim now. Hi there.
Hello. Ready to go?
I'll just get my coat.
6.
Morning. I have an appointment with Dr. Graydon.
Good morning, Mr. Lambert. If you'll just wait in there a moment, I'll let the doctor know you're here.
7.
If we get everything finished, can we go home early?
We'll see. Let's get started.
Audio 9.6.
To the next slide. The map shows the proportion of the population between 15 and 24 years of age who are enrolled in tertiary education in different countries. Over 170 million students are in tertiary education. The country with the highest percentage is Finland, where around 43% in this age group are studying. The two countries with the biggest increase in students in recent years are India and China. We believe...
Audio 9.7. 1.
Before you can enroll, you need to send us proof of your level of English. This needs to come from an officially recognized examining body. If you look on the webpage, you'll see a list of those we accept.
2.
We've got 3 kids, and in the next 5 years they're all going to be going to university. In the past you had to worry about paying for the accommodation, books and so on, but at least the classes themselves were free. But now we've got to pay this on top of everything else. I really don't know how we're going to afford it.
3.
I think in some countries everyone wants to go to university. But here in Australia, there are a lot of programs which are more practical and combine work and study. That's how I learned to be an engineer. I think employers in many areas value this type of practical experience more.
4.
When I finished school, I wasn't interested in studying anymore. I wanted to start work and start earning some money. However, last year I decided I did want to do a degree, and I have to say I'm thoroughly enjoying it. My years of work experience are a real benefit, and I definitely appreciate the opportunity to study, a lot more than I would have done when I was 18.
5.
So this is where you log in, and then on the left you can see the courses I'm enrolled on. In the centre are the messages I've got from other people on my course and also from my tutors. Look, my psychology tutor's uploaded a video for us. And there are also assignments we do online.
Audio 9.8.
If current trends continue, the number of students worldwide is set to increase by nearly 50% in the next 15 years, with developing economies leading the way, according to a recent report commissioned by UNESCO. Information technology is sure to play an increasing role in higher education. More students will be following blended learning programs, and it seems clear that the use of virtual learning environments is on the point of changing the nature of both local and distance learning dramatically in the very near future. This is also going to lead to the development of more mega universities, like the Indira Gandhi National Open University in India, which is due to reach 2 million students in the next decade, or the African Virtual University, which works in over 25 different countries. The study predicts that different countries will dominate research in the 21st century and says China will probably have overtaken the USA as the world's main producer of research by as early as 2020, and India will be in the top 5. The current trend towards internationalism is also here to stay. The development of offshore campuses is expected to continue, and the number of international students is likely to reach 7 million by 2020. But measures may be needed if countries are to hold on to local talent. In Brazil, the government is to fund tuition fees abroad for 100,000 students, on condition that they return home after graduating.
Audio 9.9. 1.
Information technology is sure to play an increasing role in higher education.
2.
More students will be following blended learning programs.
3.
The use of virtual learning environments is on the point of changing the nature of both local and distance learning.
4.
China will probably have overtaken the USA as the world's main producer of research by as early as 2020, and India will be in the top 5.
5.
The development of offshore campuses is expected to continue.
Audio 9.10.
Could you tell me about your job and what it entails?
Well, I'm a managing editor in the English Language Teaching Dictionaries department. That means that I produce new dictionaries for learners of English. For example, this year we produced our first ever dictionary of academic English for students studying at university or college. But mostly what we do is we revise and update existing dictionaries, such as the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary.
How has the dictionary business changed recently?
Well, there are 2 ways in which it's changed. One is that there's a lot more technology involved, and we now have more sophisticated tools for analysing words. The other thing is the people who are using our dictionaries. There are many, many more people learning English around the world, and they have a really diverse range of needs. The result is that we're putting more and more words into the dictionary. There are also more informal words and more different varieties of English. It used to be just British and American English, but now we have Australian English, South African English, Indian English, West African English. We have words from all sorts of different places where English is the first language.
What further changes do you foresee?
Well, technology is going to go on changing things, because first we had print dictionaries, and then it was print dictionary and CD-ROM. But CD-ROMs are on their way out now, I think, so now it's all about apps and online, and that's going to get even more important. And it'll also change how we produce the dictionaries, because instead of doing a new print edition every 5 years, we can just keep constantly updating when we're online.
Audio 9.11. 1.
I'm a managing editor in the English Language Teaching Dictionaries department. That means that I produce new dictionaries for learners of English.
2,
This year, we produced our first ever dictionary of academic English for students studying at university or college. But mostly what we do is we revise and update existing dictionaries, such as the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary.
3,
There are two ways in which it's changed. One is that there's a lot more technology involved, and we now have more sophisticated tools for analysing words.
4,
There are many, many more people learning English around the world, and they have a really diverse range of needs. The result is that we're putting more and more words into the dictionary.
5,
There are also more informal words and more different varieties of English. It used to be just British and American English, but now we have Australian English, South African English, Indian English, West African English. We have words from all sorts of different places where English is the first language.
6,
Technology is going to go on changing things because first we had print dictionaries, and then it was print dictionary and CD-ROM. But CD-ROMs are on their way out now, I think. So now it's all about apps and online, and that's going to get even more important. And it'll also change how we produce the dictionaries because instead of doing a new print edition every 5 years, we can just keep constantly updating when we're online.
Audio 9.12.
So, how do you go about selecting new words for a dictionary?
Well, two ways, really. We have a group of readers, and they send in new words that they notice. So we use that, but also the people in our team. Well, we keep our eyes and ears open for new things that we read or that we hear in the media, things that our kids say. And of course, we have a Word of the Year competition where people vote for new words, like selfie, which won a couple of years ago.
Oh, yes, I remember that one. Now, recently there seem to be a lot of new prefixes around. Could you tell us something about those?
Well, I think it's worth saying that a lot of them aren't quite as new as you might think. If you take a very prominent one like e, that was first used in email, and that term was around as far back as 1979, though it didn't really become popular until the early 90s.
And did e start being used for other words apart from email right from the start, or is that much more of a recent thing?
That's more recent. We introduced e as a prefix in the dictionary in the year 2000, and now we have words like e-reader, e-learning, and actually a very recent one is e-cigarette, which is interesting because it's not about electronic communication. It's broadening the meaning of e. In fact, there seems to be a bit of a trend for single-letter prefixes.
Such as?
Well, I for interactive. That's obviously a popular one, particularly as a brand name. M for mobile, as in M-learning. My favourite new one is P-book.
P-book? What's a P-book?
It's a print book.
Really? So that's now known as a print book as opposed to an e-book?
That's an example of what we call a retronym, a new or modified word for an old thing that now needs clarifying, like snail mail or landline.
What about suffixes?
Let's see. Gate, from the Watergate crisis in the USA in the 70s, is still being used in the press for any kind of scandal. Not only in the USA and the UK, but in lots of other countries too. So you have Pizzagate in the UK, Mogigate in Italy, Velisagate in Argentina. Then you have Easter, which started off as a political thing, Zapatista and Blairista, meaning a follower of, and then became things like Fashionista and Barista. But that's different because here Easter means more like an expert rather than a follower. And one of the latest is tastic, from fantastic, which expresses a rather indiscriminate enthusiasm, I think. So you have things like pop-tastic or choc-tastic recipes. It's not a very sophisticated word.
Audio 9.13.
What's a P-book?
It's a print book.
Really? So that's now known as a print book as opposed to an e-book?
That's an example of what we call a retronym, a new or modified word for an old thing that now needs clarifying, like snail mail or landline.
Audio 9.14.
A report has shown that the trend to start school younger in many countries is far from ideal. A study in New Zealand showed that by secondary school, children who started literacy classes aged 5 had no significant advantage over those who started aged 7, and if anything, had less positive attitudes to reading. Experts point to European countries such as Sweden and Estonia, where formal schooling is delayed till the age of 7, and where children nevertheless display higher levels of academic achievement and well-being. At the Dandelion Forest School, children learn through outside play all year round in sun, rain and snow. Founder Emma Harwood was worried that even preschool was too centred on formal education and testing, and it seems many parents would also prefer to see their children learning through experimentation and play in a natural environment. Aside from being happy and physically stronger, children develop greater autonomy and a wide range of problem-solving and interpersonal skills. According to scientists, the change in circadian rhythms during adolescence means teens with an 8 or 9 o'clock start at school are expected to concentrate at a time which is incompatible with their body clock. In a trial at the Hugh Christie Technology College in Kent, starting school at 11:30 has meant an improvement in attendance, attention, and even exam results for students. Many Taiwanese parents fear that their children lack confidence and courage compared to youngsters from other countries. A kindergarten in Taichung has responded to this by including 1 to 2 hours of military exercise and gymnastics designed to improve mental and physical strength. The change has been welcomed by parents, and the classes have proved to be a sellout.
Audio 9.15.
The purpose of this presentation is to look at the bilingual education program, which has been operational in schools in Madrid since the year 2004. I'd like to start by providing some background to the program and why it was introduced in the first place. Despite being the first foreign language taught in schools for the past 30 years, a lot of Spanish people continue to have quite a poor level of English, and for this reason, the regional government decided to launch a project to tackle the issue of language proficiency in Madrid. The project started in the year 2004 with 26 primary schools and was rolled out across the region so that currently 335 primary schools, that's about 44% of the total, are bilingual. Moving on to how it works in practice, in bilingual primary schools, children have 2 class teachers. Generally speaking, one teaches subjects in Spanish, such as Spanish language and maths, and the other teaches subjects through the medium of English. These include science, arts and crafts, and PE. In terms of the success of the project, on the whole, the results have been positive. Where it works, it can be very good. Children speak with increased confidence and in most cases take official exams and get external accreditation much earlier than previously. However, not everyone sees it in such a positive light. Critics say it's largely been motivated by politics rather than education. And certainly, the effectiveness of the program does depend to a large degree on the capacity of parents to support their children's studies and also on the language proficiency of the teachers in the first place. Because obviously a program of this nature would require huge amounts of funding, and there really is, a relatively limited amount of language training available to teachers. The long-term implications of the program remain to be seen. However, there can be no denying that a whole generation of children are going to leave school with a far greater level of proficiency in English than had ever been the case previously.
Audio 9.16. 1.
The type of education connected with the practical skills you need for a particular job.
2.
A system of education in which a person works for an employer for a fixed period of time in order to learn the particular skills needed in their job while studying part-time.
3.
Money lent to a student to pay for the cost of education.
4.
An adult student who goes to college some years after leaving school.
5.
Official approval given by an organisation saying that someone or something has reached a required standard.
6.
The money you pay to be taught, especially in a college or university.